What if hiring could be easier, more streamlined, and less time-consuming? So even when you're busy, you could still be smart about the way that you hire. With ZipRecruiter, you can post your job to over 100 of the web's leading job boards with just one click. So you can rest easy knowing your job is being seen by all the right candidates. Then, ZipRecruiter puts its smart matching technology to work, actively notifying qualified candidates about your job within minutes of posting, so you receive the best possible matches. That's why ZipRecruiter is different. Unlike other hiring sites, ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on the right candidates finding you, it finds them. No wonder 80% of employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate through the site in just one day. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. Find out today why ZipRecruiter has been used by growing businesses of all sizes and industries to find the most qualified job candidates with immediate results. And now, my listeners can post jobs on ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free. Just go to ZipRecruiter.com/J&J. J-A-N-D-J. That's ZipRecruiter.com/J-A-N-D-J. One more time to try it for free. Go to ZipRecruiter.com/J&J.
Want an easy way to see if you could save money on car insurance? Geico gives you 3. Call 1-800-947-AUTO. Go online to geico.com or stop by the Geico office nearest you. 3 ways you could save 15% or more.
And now, Jalen and Jacoby on ESPN Radio.
When I pop the trunk, head the dead. Y'all pop the trunk, I pop the hood.
Now act stupid, I'll pop the trunk. Now give me your boom.
He's Jalen Rose.
What up, Dome?
I'm David Jacoby.
And on the cool check-in, center stage on the mic.
And we putting it on wax. It's the new style.
What do?
We get people what they want.
Podcast listeners, we will never, ever leave our podcast listeners behind. We have some very exciting announcements for the continued evolution of Jalen Jacoby in 2018. We're going to wait until we hit you with those. We always say we won't leave you without a dope pod to step to, but we did. I went on vacation. I was hanging out in Mexico with my wife. No dope pod to step to.
I need a vacation.
Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday. But guess what? I need a vacation. Left the kids behind. Sat by the pool.
I need a vacation.
Had some tequila. Had some expensive tequila. You know what? You don't go and drink Cuervo when you're 40. You know what I mean? You go down there, and my wife discovered, because we're trying to, stay trim, and she was like, I could have a margarita, or I could save myself all the calories and just get some nice tequila on the rocks. So me and my wife were sipping Don Julio 70 with a little bit of lime juice in there.
Shout out.
Next thing you know, it's 5 o'clock. You've had about 7 of those, and you're tired. Things got exciting. It's a great time. It's a great vacation.
So,
Shout out to my wife.
I have to ask this question for the people without getting too detail-oriented.
The answer is no.
Do I got a niece or a nephew on the way?
The answer is no. The answer is no. The answer is no. No. And no. Please.
Oh.
Here's what you don't have to do if I had a 4th baby. You don't have to carry it. You don't have to raise it. You don't have to wake up in the middle of the night and feed it. All you got to do is just pop up once a month and get all excited because Uncle Jalen is here. Okay? That ain't happening.
That's fair. Fair.
That is not happening. That is not happening.
Well-deserved trip for somebody that didn't take a break ever for any reason. The people are happy that you got a chance to enjoy yourself, and I'm pretty sure that they're happy that they now have a dope pod to step to again.
Of course. And over the weekend, Yankees fans got what they wanted. Former Yankee Derek Jeter, who is now the CEO and part owner of the Miami Marlins, is facing a lot of criticism over a deal that sent reigning MVP Giancarlo Stanton up to the Bronx in exchange for Starlin Castro and some prospects. The location and the destination of exactly where Jeter traded Giancarlo Stanton has raised a lot of eyebrows, Jalen. Do you think that the criticism that Jeter is facing is fair in this instance?
How about this? It's been since the early 1900s that we've seen two individuals that have hit 50 home runs play on the same baseball team. Okay? That was Roger Maris and Mickey Mantle, who happened to do it for this same 27 title-winning Evil Empire New York Yankee baseball team that Derek Jeter starred with. By the way, there's a list of people that there will be no slander on this program. Derek Jeter's actually on that list.
Oh, he is? Oh,
I have to say this, no question about it. He already got his number retired with the Yankees. They need to retire another number for him after this one. Like, seriously, he looked out for them so much. What did you say Carlos Stanton won this year?
The MVP, Most Valuable Player Award.
So let me get this right. You buy the team, by the way, with a fraction of your own bread.
Yeah, with a tiny little, he bought a tiny little piece of the team. We all know how that works.
And then you get the squad and say, we really don't have the money, so we're not going to just mortgage our future. We're going to trade what did he win again?
The MVP, Most Valuable Player Award.
Okay, and we're not going to just trade him maybe to the Cardinals, storied franchise, or to California where he grew up or has ties. We're going to trade him to the New York Yankees. Oh, man. Dan Le Batard said it best. This is Wall Street fraud at its best.
Well, let me say this, I actually am not that mad at this move from Jeter. Giancarlo Stanton was unhappy there, and he had a no-trade clause, so it really sort of limited the destinations where you could actually trade him. They get back a good player in Castro, and they get prospects. And in baseball, like other sports, you have to tear down before you rebuild back up. The last two World Series champions, this year's Astros, in 2013, they were 51 and 111, last in the AL West. The previous champion, the Cubs, in 2012, they were 5th in the NL Central. Isn't this sort of a smart move? And so in 4 years, they'll be set up to win a World Series?
No. And here's the thing. Baseball is unique because unlike football and basketball, there's no salary cap. So you can, by having deeper pockets, put yourself in position consistently to be successful because you can buy all of the best talent. The teams that you just described try to play a Moneyball type philosophy. Build through the draft, have players overachieve, get terrific pitching, find a couple of players here and there off the scrap heap, and before you know it, now all of a sudden they're in the position to win the World Series. This is the New York Yankee way, having the best players in that market. On paper, you can mark them down for at least 2 of the next 5 World Series. I'm telling you right now.
Well, I look forward to that. I also have to discuss this. Tom Savage replaced Deshaun Watson as a quarterback of the Texans, took this hit, landed awkwardly in the end zone, and then there was this reaction, which clearly looked like some sort of involuntary movement of his hands, a very scary scene, made even scarier by the fact that he was evaluated quickly in the concussion protocol and then later returned to the field. He was eventually sidelined for the rest of the game, but based on the reaction that his body had to that violent hit from Doomerville, do you think the Texans should be punished for allowing him to come back in the game, or is this just a complete failure of the concussion protocol?
I got a chance to talk to a friend of the program, Stefania Bell, who's our medical expert, about this. Shout out. And she brought me behind the curtain about how there are a list of people whose sole job is to make sure the individual that's recognized by the official by possibly being where he can't perform or may have a concussion or his bell rung, now needs to go to the sideline. And under that premise, all of these individuals have to sign off before this guy puts on a helmet and goes back on the football field. Just like we saw early in the season with Russell Wilson and in other cases, that process clearly didn't happen properly. And for the NFL, there have been a lot of things non-football related that continue to chip away at the armor as football's being the most popular sport in America. A couple of weeks ago, we were talking about Crabtree and Aqib Talib's fight.
Yep.
On the field, but it was premeditated. Then it was the Gronk hit, the WWF style, which I don't understand why he didn't get a 3-game suspension. Now, after this weekend, we're going to be talking about this scenario. It's unfortunate for the league, and we can't absolve the players from this. And I know you hear a lot of people saying you must protect the players from themselves. Yes, I want to play football. You know why? Because it's the game I love. It happens to give me fame. And more importantly, if I perform in football, I can make a lot of money doing it. So based on that, while we must protect the player from themselves, that's why they have all of these other measures in place that have clearly failed as a system.
But over the past, let's say, 5 years, they've sort of established this concussion protocol. And as you mentioned, there are multiple individuals who have to sign on, and him getting back to the field. Clearly, this is a systematic failure of the concussion protocol. I mean, you don't have to be a doctor. You can just be a casual human being to see that he was injured after that hit, to see that he was concussed. He was involuntarily shaking, as I once have done after a really bad concussion. And let me tell you, he should not be able to go back in the game. This whole thing needs to be torn down and rebuilt back up, because we've seen it at least 4 or 5 times this year, and it absolutely has to change in the NFL.
But also, Jacoby, it's a mentality that we have as a society, in the media, and as fans. On one breath, you'll say that about Savage. On the other breath, you'll say, man, that Carson Wentz stayed in the game after he tore his ACL. What a tough player. The kind of guy I'd love to have on my squad. So that's where you create that level of balance that the players have to find a way to tightrope. And we must stop talking about football, and I see so many pundits do this like it's actually life or death. No, it's not. It's not combat. They're not Navy SEALs. They're not police or firemen. They're football players, a sport that was way too violent for me to play. But it's not fatal. I don't see players risking their quote-unquote lives to play football. But now, since we've brought that full circle, everybody needs to work in accordance to make sure you keep the game safe and clearly continue to protect the players.
Absolutely. And you mentioned earlier, Carson Wentz sort of almost was running towards the end zone here in a big game against the Rams, gets hit awkwardly. The touchdown actually didn't count. As you mentioned, he did stay in the game and threw a touchdown pass, but then he was carted off through the tunnel into the locker room, and we now know that Carson Wentz, a potential league MVP, has a torn ACL and is out for the rest of the season. Jalen, does this mean that the Super Bowl dreams of the Philadelphia Eagles are all but lost?
Absolutely. We know they're not winning a Super Bowl with Nick Foles, and it's unfortunate because they have a terrific team all around, the skill positions, the defensive side of the football also. And again, we go back to the NFL, the concussion issue, the opioid issue, now multiple injuries to star players. Quarterbacks like Luck and Watson, J.J. Watt, Odell Beckham Jr., the list goes on and on of notable injuries. Richard Sherman, Chancellor, Edelman. You get the point.
I just saved hundreds of dollars by switching to Geico. I've never felt more alive.
Disclaimer. Geico cannot guarantee you will feel more alive. You either possess functioning respiratory and circulatory systems, or you do not, or you are a zombie. If you are indeed a brain-starved zombie and you would like to save money on car insurance, the Geico legal team applaud your excellent life choices, even in your shambling afterlife. But we strongly encourage you to visit geico.com or download the Geico app. Please stay a minimum of 500 feet away from our large and presumably delicious, delicious brains.
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more.
Chris Paul dealt with an injury early in the season, and he has played the last 9 games for the Houston Rockets. In those 9 games, the Rockets are 9-0. Jalen, let's be honest, both you and I, off and on wax, we're a little skeptical about Chris Paul's fit in Houston with the Rockets system. How has this worked so well for them?
You got to give Daryl Morey a lot of credit, the general manager, who continued to steadfast with the system of launching three-point shots, shooting layups, or getting to the free throw line. Bringing Mike D'Antoni in town, a coach who made it famous while he was in Phoenix. And then obviously James Harden, who they got from OKC, who's becoming the MVP candidate, along with LeBron James. I think they're going to be in that conversation clearly as 1 and 2. Way too early to have that conversation. But what about Chris Paul? leaving the Clippers clearly left a hole in what they chose to do because they haven't gotten off to a really good start. They dealt with a lot of injuries. But I'm not surprised about the regular season production. It's going to be interesting to see when it's 3 minutes to go in a ball game and it's a one-possession game, if one of those guys is going to be in action and if the other guy's going to be spotting up. But I'm happy for CP3 because on paper he left $200 million on the table for this decision. So I think he has something more in mind than just what's going to happen this year.
You mentioned Mike D'Antoni, and he's not exactly known for his defensive scheming or his focus on defense. And one thing that's really stood out to me about this team, when you have Luka Mbamute and Ariza and you have P.J. Tucker, they have been playing great defense. As a matter of fact, they're top 5 in defensive efficiency on the season. In the last 9 games with Chris Paul, they're number 1 in defensive efficiency. How have they been so good on this end?
It isn't about necessarily making an emphasis. It's about having the personalities of a player and then coaching a philosophy that everybody's comfortable with. And each of the guys you mentioned are willing to play defense. Yes, they're productive on the offensive end, in particular Chris Paul, obviously, with his playmaking and scoring, and Trevor Ariza with his three-point shooting. The reason why Tucker's in the league is because of his toughness. Mbamute, the exact same thing, who became a three-point shooter. So when that's the personality of the player, it now becomes something that you can implement on a nightly basis.
Well, Jalen, this certainly won't be the last time we discuss this, and it is, where is LeBron James going to play professional basketball next year? Sam Amick of USA Today did a piece about LeBron James possibly joining this team that we're talking about, the Houston Rockets. They could make the cap space work. They get rid of Ryan Anderson, and you re-sign Chris Paul, perhaps at a discount. You bring in LeBron. You've got LeBron, James Harden, CP3, the other players that we already mentioned. The more I think about this and the more I look at it, the more sense it starts to make. Could LeBron James join the Houston Rockets this offseason?
This isn't earth-shattering news for anybody that hasn't paid attention. The Banana Boat Boys hope to play together one day. So it's for us to now speculate where that's going to be, and each person's going to do that on a daily basis, myself included. All you got to do is follow the fact that LeBron James has how many years left on his contract?
1, and he's going to opt out.
How many years does Chris Paul have on his contract?
0.
What about Carmelo Anthony and Dwayne Wade?
Carmelo Anthony might opt into that big number that's still left in his contract, but he could opt out in theory. And Dwayne Wade is on a veteran minimum, so something tells me that he'll be signing a new deal.
So within the next season and a half, all 3 of these gentlemen could be free agents. If it was up to them, it's been acknowledged that they would like to play together. Now, where could that truly happen? You just described one of the places. The Houston Rockets. If LeBron James is going to leave Cleveland, it's not going to be to play with Brandon Ingram, who's having a really good season, and Lonzo Ball, who's having a better season, just not up to the expectations of the hype. He might as well stay in Cleveland for that. And if you're going to go to the West, it's going to be to join a super team, because that's what the Golden State Warriors has. So it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out.
One thing I could definitely see happening is the Cleveland Cavaliers once again getting to the finals and then once again getting beaten pretty handily by the Warriors. And at that point, I could see him walking back into the locker room and saying, I need to get new players around me. And then there's James Harden and Chris Paul and all the supporting players and a great front office and a coach and a lot of shooters on that roster that could be very attractive for LeBron James. I don't care where he buys a house. He can buy a house everywhere. He's got enough money to buy houses all over the place. So don't talk to me about, he bought a house in L.A., so he's coming to L.A. Like, no. Where he can buy houses on houses on houses. He can buy a house in every single state. He wants a championship, not a nice commute from the arena to his house. Next, we have this. Someone we haven't spoken about too much. Victor Oladipo. Sing it, Jalen.
Oladipo!
He scored 47 points and added 7 rebounds and 6 assists as the Pacers beat the Nuggets in overtime. I've been focused on Lance Stevenson on this Pacer team, but Oladipo has been turning it up this entire year in Indiana. What has helped make him turn the corner as an NBA player?
He's disappointing me. Now he's becoming so good that he can't just be like one of my under-the-radar guys. Because I remember being on the baseline. Indiana was hosting the Michigan Wolverines. And this guy did a couple of power dunks, including the 360. I was like, he going to be a player in the league. Then, like so many young players, you get drafted to a squad, but it's not necessarily the best fit in Orlando. You show that you can play in the league, but not necessarily have long-term success there. They move you to OKC, and Russ like, you know what, this is my squad. I got the rock. I'm averaging a triple-double. I need you to do these couple of things. And then they have a chance to get Paul George, and they're like, who y'all want? Take him. Sabonis? Take him. Oladipo? Take him. And all of a sudden, he comes home. He gets rejuvenated. He's playing terrific in the Eastern Conference. I'm happy to see the way he's balling, and I think it's going to continue.
Jalen Cam Newton did it again. No, I'm not talking about the rushing yards and the passing yards in the big statement win against the Minnesota Vikings. Of course, I'm talking about this ridiculous post-game outfit. Now, as if the sweater wasn't enough, as if the shawl on the jacket wasn't enough, he went ahead and wore what can only be described as like a cowboy hat with no brim or like a fez hat with no tassel. It's an extra reach. Should we give him credit for being original, or is he only original because no one would wear a hat that looks that stupid?
We got to let Cam rock at this point because he's consistently worn outfits that he knew that other people were going to look at and either love or hate. This is something that he's purposely doing. And shout to fellow Detroit player Devin Funchess, who's become his number one receiver in balling. Now that Carson Wentz is down, there are two pillars that are happening in the NFC. The team that's won the Super Bowl before in New Orleans, the upstart team in the Rams, and two teams that have been there but come up short with MVPs, the Falcons and the Carolina Panthers. And now you get a Super Bowl winning quarterback returning potentially in Aaron Rodgers. It's going to be a great race. I would love to see how my Detroit Lions fare as the season progresses.
You're still talking about the Lions? Also, great analysis on the hat. Moving on. Bills fans are a unique bunch. They really enjoy the tailgating outside of the stadium on Sundays. They love to jump through tables, and as we get later into the season, tables are not enough to jump through. Now we've got them jumping through grills. And during the game, in a blizzard, you got these 5 Bills bros in what looks like the front row, shirtless, watching the game in the snow. Jalen, watching the game shirtless in a blizzard, is that cultural?
No question. I remember going to Michigan. It's like Thanksgiving. It's snow on the ground. I looked around, and individuals that look just like the people pictured in Buffalo were wearing shorts and flip-flops. I'm like, I got on the Scully, a hoodie, and a winter coat. And here's the other thing I must stress.
Uh-oh.
And we putting it on wax.
When you're watching ice skating or skiing or bungee jumping, shall I go on? Yes, it's cultural.
I understand. Don't forget, if you call 985-80-JALEN, you can leave us a voicemail. Ladies.
Hey, ladies.
Make sure you call up 985-80-JALEN and leave us voicemails for Wednesday's show. We do all female voicemails on Wednesdays, but today we're taking all callers like this one.
Jalen Jacoby. What up, though? I want to give you a soft move or boss move. So my little brother, he's at the home opener for the Knicks game versus Detroit. They're giving out T-shirts. He grabbed the T-shirt, and he notices a 6-foot-something guy trying to grab his T-shirt from him. He turns around, and who is it? Jalen Rose. Come on, man. Do you need that shirt?
Okay.
Soft move or boss move.
Jalen, when did this happen? He said it was it the Pistons game you were at? Is that what it is? Because I don't think that you were grabbing T-shirts. Because I was there, too. And I don't remember this happening. I don't remember this happening at all. And another thing I know, we've spoken about this, I have a strict policy about flying gifts into the crowd. baseballs, if anything flies in the crowd of a concert or a sports arena, the first thing you do is you grab it and you give it to the closest, cutest child around you. That's what you do. And you got to make sure that child is wearing the home team's uniform, because that is the protocol for anyone over 26 years old. If you get something that is launched at you from a T-shirt cannon, if you catch a foul ball, if anything happens to you, you always give it up to the cutest, nearest child. Even if it's like bobblehead night or whatever, you don't care about the Ron Baker bobblehead. You know what I mean? You don't got to take the Ron Baker bobblehead home. But you know who does care about the Ron Baker bobblehead? Kids. So give it all up. If you get something free at an NBA or NFL or MLB arena, you have to give it up to a kid. And I refuse to think that I'm doing a show that my career is based on relationship with a man who would grab a T-shirt from a child and not give it back, or smile and then give it back, or make a joke about it and then give it back.
We see so many of these instances take place, in particular in baseball, where somebody hits a foul ball or a home run, and adults are pushing kids out of the way to get what they think is a souvenir that's going to mean something to them once they leave the ballpark.
Mm-hmm.
We have a steadfast rule on this show that we're not going to lie to the people.
Nope.
And I must say to our caller, your brother lied to you. I was not only at the game.
This is a Pistons-Knicks game we went to.
Of course.
Yeah.
We were sitting in the owner's seats. I was with Jacoby and Molly. All we were doing was eat, drinking, and being merry. Nobody even threw shirts in our direction, let alone I was tussling with somebody for a T-shirt.
That wasn't happening. And another thing is, if I remember correctly, there was a group of 8 13-year-olds that moved down to sit next to us. There was no T-shirts going into our area that they weren't grabbing, because those kids were wild. They would have climbed on top of each other and made sure they came home with a T-shirt. Those kids were fun, though.
Now, here's what I will say. I hope your brother that told you this is of drinking age, because maybe he had a couple of beverages.
Yeah, that might be a failed test. You might have been in the vicinity, but you certainly didn't grab a T-shirt from anybody. I don't even know what to say. And also, what happens with those T-shirts is you're always so excited because it has the Knicks logo on the front, but then it's got a gigantic Citibank logo or whatever on the back. The sponsor logos are so big on those T-shirts. Come on now. I'm not going to turn myself into a Citibank billboard.
And I'm a Pistons fan. What I'm be trying to grab a Knicks shirt for?
Yeah, do you know what I do like, though? I do like those parachute drops from the ceiling. You know those ones? Because you can see it kind of coming down for a long time. It's a lot more dramatic than the T-shirt cannon. I'm surprised the T-shirt cannon hasn't led to a couple lawsuits yet.
I thought you was going to say you like the cheerleaders, not no T-shirt drop.
No, man. Well, AK just notifying us that Matt Barnes retired today. What do you think he'll be best known for?
I got love for Matt Barnes. I'm happy that a gentleman who continued to reinvent himself was able to play 15 years in our great NBA. Yes, he's had some turbulent times, got ejected from some games, but he's also won a championship with the Golden State Warriors. I'm happy that he gets a chance to possibly do it on his own terms until another team calls between now and the playoffs, and he's probably back in the league. But I will say this between now and then. I wouldn't want to be Derek Fisher.
No. Next.
He's going to be around a lot more now.
Yep, medicinal.
This is from the Infinite One. Does Jacoby have any advice for living with roommates? Matter of fact, I do. My first piece of advice, if you have the financial means, don't live with anybody. Okay? Live by yourself until you find a significant other that you want to cohabitate with. That's the first. But we're all young, and what happens is sometimes you have to just make those decisions for necessary reasons. Split the bill. And then my advice is this. This worked out for me, but I do not suggest moving in with a close friend. Because you want to have roommates that you trust and that you like spending time with, but you don't go out together. Because you never want to have one of your friends leave the house on a Friday night at 8 o'clock, your roommate, and then you're like, oh, where you going? You know, and then it's like a thing about whether or not you're going to hang out together. Like, you want to live with your friends, but you don't want to be up each other's world like that. You kind of want friends of friends, or you want people that you're cool with, but when you leave the house, they don't ask you any questions. You're not expected to hang out with them outside of the house. You keep that relationship in the house. That's my advice.
My advice is to try to have a roommate who can afford to pay more than you.
Oh, okay.
Because a lot of times, and you mentioned it, you're looking for a roommate for a reason, to share the bills.
Exactly.
You want to be the person looking at the other individual saying they might be an issue on the first than the other way around.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Also, definitely, I'm telling you, I did this in college. I was trying to be a roommate with C-Webb our freshman year. I'm like, I don't care if it costs $300 a month and it's an hour from campus. I need my own space.
Really?
Like, straight up.
Really? You did not have a roommate in college?
For part of our freshman year. Rest in peace to Lamont Carter, a.k.a. Juice, who's good friends with Juwan Howard. He came to Ann Arbor to go to college while Juwan was going to Michigan. He's also my friend. I told him I'd rather pay you than have a roommate that, along with me, is going to be doing all of the stuff you just described. It's like building a team. You don't want everybody partying out at the same time every night. It's like having a team. You can't have everybody help the grade point average. There's certain things you have to balance out. And if one of us is going to be using the bathroom in a 40-ounce bottle at 11 at night and place it in the hallway, you can't have two of us doing that.
No. That's fair. Shout out to my roommate, Mike.
Shout out.
We had a great room. Boom wants to know why Jalen neglected his hair lining in his younger days. Great question. Great question from Boom. Great question from Boom. Why was your hairline not always a priority in your life?
Well, first off, and it still reigns true today, when you're young and or immature and or rough and tumble, you think your appearance makes you tough. So I already had bumpy skin and scars on my face. I had bad teeth. So if I have a bald head, it fit right in.
Yeah, like the pretty boy thing wasn't on the table back then. You know, yeah. It wasn't on the table, so you had to go a different way with it.
That wasn't even an option.
You had to go a different way with it.
And here's the second part of that. When I finally started making bread and I was in the league, I realized something else. I'm really particular who cuts my hair.
Oh, I know. It's embarrassing. I don't want to talk about it. It's embarrassing.
And when you play for 16 and 13 years and play 82 games a year, 41 at home and away, I need a low cut in the headband.
Let me tell you something about the relationship with the people that cut your hair. Because I've realized something about me is I'm in an extremely dedicated, exclusive relationship with my wife. But I will cheat on a barber like nobody's business. I was sitting in the chair with the new guy when the old guy walked in and looked me right in the face.
Wow.
And then the old guy actually texted me. He texted me this weekend like, yo, hit me up. And I was like, I don't know what you want to talk about. You know, and I'll go to one place. I'll go to one place to have someone cut my hair on Tuesday, and then I'll go back the next Wednesday and just sit right next to him with somebody else's chair. You know what? I'm in a very serious, committed relationship romantically, but I don't really care. I'm not like you guys. I don't care about my bar. I don't care about my haircut as much as you do. I really don't. It's a very simple haircut to perform. I care about how long it takes. I want efficiency. I'm gonna get another one in like 7 days.
You one of those guys that cause arguments and disagreements amongst barbers.
But those arguments happen when I leave. They happen when I leave.
Because you have to declare who's your barber so they can declare who's their client, and they can try to figure out how much money they're going to be making and who's going to be cutting consistently. If I was both of them, I wouldn't cut your hair at all.
Well, we'll see how that plays out. Because you know what? Whoever's available.
Unless you pay. Unless you're paying $100 for your haircut.
I would never pay $100 for my haircut, but I promise.
Oh, yeah, well, I ain't cutting your hair.
I promise I tip more than 70% of the people that they cut. I promise that.
Well, if I was them, I'd throw you back in the water.
Well, guess what? It's a client-based business in that world. It's a client. Customer's always right. Y'all can have those arguments when I leave.
Guess what else?
I'm not even barbershop exclusive. I got multiple barbershops I go to all around Los Angeles. Yeah, that's right, Reg. That's right. Multiple.
You're such a barber groupie.
No, opposite.
Exactly.
Opposite of that. Opposite of the barber groupie. I sleep around. I don't know. I'm not allowed to just test all the different flavors when it comes to romantic relationships. So in my haircut relationship, I'm with someone new every time.
Jacoby, you've been in sports way too long. That's actually what groupies do, sir.
I guess.
What are you talking about?
I'm not allowing that one. I'm not allowing that comparison. I don't even know how we got in this topic. Oh, yeah, because Boom asked a question. I hope none of my barbers listen to the podcast.
Yo, speaking of Boom, everybody pull out your phone at my little brother Big Sean. He and Metro Boomin.
Yep.
They just dropped some heat over these past couple of days called Double or Nothing. That's what I've been listening to the past couple of days. I need to get Lil Bro on the show.
I need to hear that. I haven't sat down with it or ridden. I didn't ride my bike today, so I haven't had a good music listening 20 minutes. But that is definitely first on my list. I love Big Sean. I listened to, Lamborghini over the weekend. And I was like, man, this guy's been doing this for a while.
Bars!
Finally, we didn't really get a chance to talk about it during the television show, Jalen. But the scene at the end of the Seahawks-Jaguars game was perplexing and disturbing. And there's just now news that Shifter is saying that no one is being suspended. I cannot imagine a world in which Michael Bennett is not suspended for his behavior during the final couple snaps of that game. Like, how do you not suspend Michael Bennett for that? It's intentionally trying to injure somebody.
I've been this dude before. Of course you're not. Never that. I've been this dude because when you play for as long as I have, 20 years organized, middle school, high school, college, and the pros, you're on all types of teams and you've seen all types of outcomes and all types of environments. And I've been that guy on the squad, and here's a term for what I saw. Sore losing. I've been there before. You're getting beat. It's still time on the clock. I remember vivid times as a member of the Bulls. Oh, man. We down 10. It's like 2 minutes to go. I'm just out there hacking. I wonder how many fouls I averaged that year. I bet when I played for the Bulls, I averaged more fouls than at any time of my career.
I'm sure that's
But it's the exact same thing that you're describing. So I get that Bennett was disappointed after last week. We were talking about the Seahawks had made the leap and Russell Wilson was playing like Eagles, the MVP. And they could probably do this without Cam and without Richard Sherman. And then you come back the next week and you get thumped. But I got to give props to the Jacksonville Jaguars because they've been consistent on defense, rushing the quarterback, getting sacks. Of course, when you got a guy named Jalen, just like in Philly, he going to be able to cover and make plays. So, that wasn't just something that people was used to hearing. The Jacksonville Jaguars beat the Seattle Seahawks.
Of course.
But if Blake Bortles keep playing like he's playing, I don't think that squad is a fluke.
I don't think so either. Well, we have this now. There are 2 women in the past week have told tales of paranormal passion. One woman said that she had amazing sex with a 19th century ghost, and then another woman has broken up with her fiance because she had multiple partners of the ghost variety, and she felt bad about it. Jalen, is it cheating if you have a significant other, but you also have a sexual encounter with a ghost?
Here's what cheating is. Doing or saying something you would not do or say if your mate was not present. So, yes, that is cheating.
Interesting
because
wrinkle.
you can say that you were having thoughts of a ghost, but you're really having thoughts of someone else lying and saying it was a ghost. So, yes. What do you think?
I think that I don't want to get in trouble, so I'm going to say goodbye. We'll be back tomorrow. Jalen and Jacoby.
Thank you. You're far too kind.